Have you ever been in an awkward situation where something goes wrong with an article of clothing, or you're trying on something and thinking how this could be really perfect if you could just fix one thing? Well, when bodies come in all different shapes and sizes, and sometimes pre made clothing can be slightly unaccommodating. Hand sewing is an age old technique that uses simple materials to create the basic necessities like clothing in our everyday lives. But for now, it can fix those pesky clothing problems. Building outfits can sometimes be difficult when a store caters to a certain body type. And I'm sure we all have that one piece of clothing that we hate. I know I do. And being in theater for so long and fixing costumes for conventions, I have seen clothing being made, and I have made some myself. Finding a way for them to accommodate certain bodies to wear these outfits really only has one solution, and that's to sew it. Overall, learning the basics of sewing and its many uses is a gateway to a more healthy hobby and skill. And with a variety of stitches to choose from, each different to meet our sewing needs. First, you'll need materials, and then to choose between basic stitches like the running stitch and the hemming stitch, which are stitches I'll show you today. First, you'll need a basic set of needles, and you can find these at any craft and hobby store. Some sewing pins, which I have in here, and preferably a pin cushion. Sorry. Um, all of these materials can be found at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, things like that. Practice threading needles. Pick a needle that it really helps with the hole sizes and what you feel is more comfortable with threading your needle. But be careful because depending on how thick cloth is, you want to make sure that your needle has no problems going through the different types of material. And once threaded, pull the needle all the way across to make sure you get this double threaded technique. And it really helps to make sure that the stitch has a kind of durability that you need. Next, you have to diagnose your problem. What's the kinds of things that you want fixed in this outfit? Then the next thing you're going to do is pin the problem, kind of like this. And you're going to pin the problem and make sure that you know where your stitch is going to be and hypothetically think how it's going to look after you've stitched it. Now, double the length of your pre-planned stitch to how much thread you have. And after mapping out where to stitch, you'll need to know what stitch to use. I will demonstrate two very versatile stitches. First is the running stitch. And I used it by pulling fabric in and out to create these kind of dotted lines, kind of like a line on the road. And it's really helpful for pulling fabric in to make things a little smaller and also for merging two fabrics together. Now, follow the pins with your stitch and pull the pins out as you go. And this will help you follow the predestined path that you chose for your cloth. That way you don't lose your place. Next is the hemming stitch. This is the hemming stitch. It's really important for sewing up an edge to make it look really neat and complete. You can also use it to hem the sides of blankets or for fabric that's too long. Pulling it up can really make a difference in how you look. And I like to stitch diagonally actually from the back. And this really helps the stitch look very complete on the front. And these kinds of stitch can be found at the bottom of your pants, things like that. The results you want is that you tie the threads at the end, and you should look over your results to see if they're really happy with them or you would like to try again. Stitches can be easily removed if you're not so happy. And although this is a really tedious technique, hand sewing provides the tools and simple fix to your wardrobe problems without the hassle of a tailor, and ultimately opens a path to practicing a useful skill and a fun hobby with a variety of techniques to achieve your goals. With these skills, you have only just begun to learn a skill set with infinite uses. The stitches that we learned today are the bases in which new stitches can be learned from. with a practice helping you to improve, could only be sewing together your own clothes and costumes is an endless variety of options for you now. Now, I know it's a bit strenuous and people think that sewing is actually a lot harder than it is, but it's actually really simple. It just takes the time and patience. And you can now begin your journey to self-mending your own customized creations in a way that will only help improve your precision, patience, and portable skills. Thank you. All the